Hello and welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Millie and I love indie makeup, especially shiny, shifty, and sparkly eyeshadows. And today we have another edition of New Makeup Nonsense Bingo, and this is going to be the graphic design edition. And of course, all credit goes to Emily Hanhan for this great idea, and she does it along with Audra at Home as well as Teresa is Dead. And there's some other creators that do it as well, so make sure you check out my description box below if you're interested in watching more. And also for this video today, I'm wearing my custom ampersand clit earrings that I made a couple months ago, and I just absolutely love how they came out. They're super fun, and I love me some really cool looking ampersands. So maybe I'll try to make that like a thing, and every time try to wear some sort of like graphic design theme, totally nerding out type of like makeup look, earrings, accessories, whatever, we'll see. And so let me pop up my bingo card. I did switch out one, and it used to be something Chef's Kiss, and right now it's a high school art class project. Thanks to everyone who made suggestions on my last video. It was super fun to hear your thoughts as well. So I actually didn't have that many makeup releases from the month of July to put up here. I felt like a lot of them were just like uninteresting and not really anything to talk about, especially in terms of packaging. And so I do have all of the different releases that I do want to talk about in my little wheel, but I did want to make sure I was able to talk about this one, and that is the Hourglass single eyeshadow release or build your own palette. The audacity! I have zero clue on who thought, yes, this is a great idea to charge $161 for 5 eyeshadows that are in a tin. And they're not even special. Like, they're not even, if, you know, it would be another thing if it was very special, like multi-chrome eyeshadows that were hand pressed and hand mixed and hand poured and dried and labeled and whatever. But these are just like 50 shades of beige. There's like a blue, there's a red, and a green. But otherwise, I mean, it's just all different kinds of browns. And from some of the videos that I have watched of people who pick these up, their shimmers don't even really seem like anything. And I just feel like if you're just somebody who wants to do easy everyday makeup, you can just like brush on a matte that blends really effortlessly and then put on a shimmer all over the lid. There's so many other better brands out there that will help you achieve this that do not cost ridiculous price. But so price aside, let's talk about the packaging. It had potential. Listen, it has potential. However, there's so much wasted space inside. And also just, it looks so like 1920s aesthetic, which I feel like would fit. Like if this was from Besame, for example, if you, I don't know if you know that indie brand Besame, I think they're an indie brand. They have like a vintage vibe to them, but this just makes no sense. And it's like they're trying to basically dress up a tin to make it look high-end when it's really not. And also, if you want to be sustainable, or if you want to be like eco-friendly or whatever, in terms of just like, oh, you can just refill the pans, you don't have to keep wasting and buying eyeshadow palettes. First of all, who is finishing eyeshadow palettes nowadays? Second of all, the most eco and sustainable thing for you to do is to literally not exist. So making empty tin eyeshadow palettes and then charging like $29 per eyeshadow is definitely in no way, shapes, or form eco-friendly, especially because I saw the packaging of those individual shades, which by the way, if you buy the 5-pan palette, all those shades are individually packed in plastic, recycled plastic. But you know, plastic can only be recycled so many times until it can't anymore, and it ends up in the landfill anyway, and then it comes in a box. Ugly and overpriced. Hourglass makes it time and time again very clear that they do not care about feedback, that they just care about the money, and they care about looking like a certain way in terms of being like super high-end, cruelty-free, and vegan brand. But honestly, I think we're all tired, and I would not be surprised if we see these on sale within the next couple of months, maybe even in TJ Maxx by the end of this year. And on that note, I am putting this under you're paying for the packaging. Hooray! Alright, so the first official new makeup release that the wheel chose is the Melt Cosmetics SEX Foils, which is basically just a liquid illuminator. You can use all over your body, all over the face. I really love the packaging on this, not just the bottle, but also the box. I think it's very on par with the way that their highlighters look, for example, with the really beautiful scripty type all over, like pressed into the actual product. But this, I think, is definitely really beautiful. It looks like it's glass, so that's always a plus. So I really like this. I do feel like there's just maybe a little bit too much on the actual bottle, but overall I usually really enjoy Melt Cosmetics kind of packaging slash product design. I think that they try to keep it pretty fresh, so I'm going to be putting this under 2 fonts are good, 12 must be better, because there's a lot of fonts on here. Hooray! Next up we have the Chanel perfume in multiple different kinds of products, and they have a very specific style in general. I mean, they don't really stray away from it, so this is probably just going to go under If Apple Made Makeup, because I mean, it's white with some type on it, which I do like, but sometimes it gets a little old. I just wish they would sometimes maybe do a little something else, but I understand this is because this is their brand, and this is also Chanel No. 5, and I'm pretty sure everything that they have like that has that kind of branding. Hooray! Yay for more indie. This is the new Cindy Grace eyeshadow palettes, Coffee Talk and Sweet Indulgence, that is just coming out, and right now currently they're having a Christmas in July sale, and so they usually release some sort of like a night pan eyeshadow palette. At least they did last year for it, and you can get it free when you spend a certain amount of money. So for these, I like the theming. I like the idea behind it. I don't love how flat these look. Like, I just wish they've done like metallic foil, they've done the all over glitter. I just wish there was something else going on here that made it just a little bit more interesting, because right now it just feels like a very flat pattern, and to me it doesn't scream like eyeshadow palette, though it is very themed, which I really enjoy that. But like I said, I just wish there was like a little bit of more dimension, and I really don't like that Sweet Indulgence font. It's a little bit hard to read, especially on the spirals. So let's put that under whose handwriting is this, because they're using kind of like a handwritten type of font. I think it goes well underneath that. Hooray! Next up, one of the like 4 ColourPop launches I have on here. These are the new Fresh Kiss glossy lip stains, and when I saw the component of this, I was obsessed. Like, I love this kind of component. It just looks very high end. I feel like mostly when I've seen these kind of components for a lip gloss or some sort of lip product, it's usually from like a higher end brand. Now, I don't know if these are glass. I would be surprised if they're actually glass. They're probably plastic, but I really, really like that alone. And the packaging is very much on par with like the whole entire style of ColourPop, with a lot of textures and just playfulness. So I don't like love it. I don't love the cursive font. Again, it's a little hard to read, so this could have also gone under whose handwriting is this, but I'm going to put this under everything but the kitchen sink, because there's just like a lot happening on the packaging. Next up is a product that actually doesn't, as far as I know, doesn't have a box, but I really like the packaging of it actually. But I really like the overall aesthetic of this, and that's the Flower Jet Set Invisible Powder Spray. I really want to try this. I really, really want to try this, because I think it's going to either be really, really cool or really, really bad. And I just kind of want to see. Like, I think this would be really great, especially if you have oily skin and you're working, you know, for a long time during the day, and you just need something to help refresh your makeup, or just help, you know, with the oil control. If you don't want to blot, I think this would be really interesting. Though I can't really imagine like going into the bathroom and just being like this. I feel like that'd be kind of funny, but I really like the way that they did this design, because it really shows like powder. The only thing with this is sometimes if you're too literal with kind of like what the product is in terms of like this is a powder and it sprays out like that, people might be led on to think that that's how it sprays out, and that's not necessarily a good thing, because then you might think that it sprays like harshly, you know, and then it just like sticks in one spot versus like it's an overall mist. So that's the only thing, but I really like it. I really like the way that they just put the logo this way. However, I don't remember the O being completely like not having an outline. That seems like so random, and just like it just bothers me. So let's see, what are we gonna put this under? Make the logo bigger because the logos on here is pretty big. All right, more ColourPop, and this is the ice cream quads, and these are super cute. I think Millie, like 3 years ago, would definitely buy these. Again, we're keeping with the ColourPop cutesy pattern illustration kind of theme here. These are feeling a little like stockish to me. Like they're not as fun. I don't know. These are just not as exciting. But how much more customization can you really do with an ice cream theme? But I think I'm going to put them under probably a stock image. All right, we got another ColourPop release. Apparently we're just going through all of them. But I told you there wasn't that much for me to put in here because there's just not that many interesting launches in July. But I have a feeling we got the holidays coming up. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot come like end of August, September, November, October. Almost, how could I skip October? Anyways, these are the Power Puff Girl collab. And I mean, there's again not much to say except I just feel like overall their stuff seems to be very kiddish. I think it depends on the launch. Like, I think some of their launches are a little bit more elevated, but a lot of it is starting to lean towards like kids makeup. Of course, not saying that you're a kid if you want to buy this, but I mean just aesthetically. But since this is a collab, I don't really think that they had like too much to do. And I mean, they did the kind of obvious and what's expected because everyone just wants to see the Powerpuff Girls on there and the hearts and it's cutesy. So it totally makes sense. So I'm going to say high school art class project is what I'm going to put it under. Oh, this next one I was hoping for because this is the Wet n Wild Crush 9-pan eyeshadow palettes and a bunch of other stuff, basically. And I just don't understand why they named one of the eyeshadow palettes In Love with Coco. Because of that song that came out a few years ago, I just don't think this is cute at all. Like, I don't know if it purposely has that play on words on there and it's kind of more of like a mainstream thing. But I hate it. I hate it. And I've seen some also videos and these are not really that great, which doesn't surprise me. Wet n Wild isn't really that great when it comes to that. But like, they're like straight up coming for ColourPop's queen. Like, I mean, you've got the 9 pans. The only thing is at least the palettes don't actually have the design on the packaging. But like at the top of the end cap, it looks like it's an end cap, is all the like themes of each of the eyeshadow palettes. And like Be Mine, Honey, My Cherry Amour, In Love with Coco, and then what is that one? Passion Session. I was like, Pagion? This is awful. And it does not look like it's from the same brand at all. And I hate it. I hate all these fonts. I hate it overall. It just, there's no cohesiveness. Like ColourPop does it in like a better way. I'm going to put at least it's not Papyrus because there's a lot of fonts happening and they're all not the greatest. So at least it's not Papyrus because it could be worse. Next up, we got the ABH Summer launch. And it's the bronzer, the highlighters, and the blushes. They're all cream. I don't understand why the bronzer is in like a jar and not a stick. Maybe because they did the contour stick, so maybe they're trying to stay away from it. But like personally, I would just rather have a stick instead of trying to like shove my brush or sponge into a little container. I prefer not to do that. And it just kind of stands out really weird from the entire collection. But that being said, packaging is very ABH. We got the rose gold. It's so weird that like you can't even distinguish based on packaging between the highlighter and the blush. But then the bronzer is a totally different kind of packaging. So it's like, how are you going to know in your collection which one you're grabbing for? You're going to have to make sure you check the little sticker, which, by the way, the sticker is translucent. So it's a little harder to read, especially on top of a metallic component. I think that was such a miss. And that being said, they do come in boxes, and the boxes are rose gold, which I do really like that. So I think overall, it's very on par with ABH, and I don't think it's like bad by any means. I just really think that there should be a little bit more distinction. So let's put this under. And so I actually don't have anything to put this under, so wah wah. Next up, let's talk about the Kylie Cosmetics relaunch. Let's not call it a rebrand, because it is not a rebrand, and that's literally all I would call it, because everything is pretty much the same. There's slight differences in the packaging, but they're still using the drippy lips, and they're still using the giant sans serif, condensed sans serif on all caps on everything, which is the brand, and I'm sure that they didn't really want to stray away. And then the pink packaging on everything. There's so much pink. Enough of the pink, enough of the drippy lips. Yeah, so this is definitely going under it's a rebrand, because it's not, and everything looks pretty much the same, and I just wish that they could have done something a little bit different, just spice it up a little bit. Alright, so this next one is from an indie brand, and actually it just arrived in PR at my doorstep today, so I will be definitely talking about this on my channel. And this is the new Game Beauty Victory palette. The artwork is so stunning. Like, I will always obsess over their packaging for sure, and it gets me always super, super excited. So that's always A+. And I also really like that they keep it really simple, and they just do their logo nice and smaller-ish on the corner with like a really nice, almost like a hollow foil, and then Victory palette on the other half, really nice and small, just very delicate, really beautiful, lets the artwork shine. I love that, and I love, love, love that the inside of the packaging always has some sort of a graphic that correlates to the outside without being exactly the same thing. So I love that. I'm really intrigued to play with this palette, because we do have two what looks like deeper shades. However, I do think, just based on looking at this, there is a little bit too many matte oranges. So let's put this under Chef's Kiss, because I really love it. Okay, we're so, so close to bingo. Oh, my lash is popping up. Please just ignore that, because I don't have the time to fix it right now. Next up, let's talk about Jaclyn Cosmetics, their summer launch. Can they, for the love of God, can they please just choose a look for their brand? Everything they've been releasing is got a different vibe. And I think that is just so confusing to a consumer, because it's like you don't have a specific kind of brand equity built except for the logo, the Jaclyn type that they have for the logo. So this one has the leaves on it on the outer packaging. We've got some frosted glass, which is really nice. I mean, it looks nice, but it's expected. It's definitely very expected for a summer release to just throw some leaves on some packaging. And I know this is a limited edition release, so you know, you sometimes do a little bit something different like Melt Cosmetics, but Jaclyn Cosmetics is kind of marketed towards like a mid-tier brand, and they're at Ulta, and I just feel like based on the way that they try to portray themselves as kind of a little bit more looking high-end, it just doesn't make sense for everything to be different. Like, I think they should have, the core line at least should have the same look in terms of packaging, the design, the product, actually what's on the bottles and stuff. And then the special releases should be like really special and not just kind of like just a little different from the main look, just a little bit. So let's put this under, I'm gonna put this under Apothecary vibes, because just the leaf and the simplicity of all of them, it feels very Apothecary versus like her usual kind of product stuff, if that makes sense. Alright, we got 3 left, so we'll see if we actually get a bingo, because I have a feeling we won't. Okay, so next up, let's talk about more butter bronzers from Physicians Formula. This is the same, this is like the drugstore equivalent of NARS and their whole Orgasm collection, like enough is enough. And also, they never seem to just expand the shade range. They just keep cranking out the same types of light to maybe medium skin tone types of bronzers. I absolutely hate this packaging. It is not cute in any sort of way. These all scream stock photo 110%, 150%. These have got to be stock photos. Like, it makes me want to go search for these, because why? And there's something about putting like photorealistic images on top of a flat product, and then like not on all of them. So basically the butter cake one, it looks like the frosting is actually like a photograph of real frosting, versus the butter coffee one, the coffee beans and the leaves coming from the side look like they're some sort of like a render illustration type of thing. Like, why would you do that? Like, that's like, no. Where can I put this under? That is just absolutely hideous. I think I'm going to put it under design in that like word art type of font, because I just, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Or we got more ColourPop. This is the last one, and that's the Cherry Crush release of the collection, and this is cute. This is pretty cute. I gotta say, I really like the aesthetic. I feel like anything I see that has cherries all over it, like that Marc Jacobs palette, as well as the, I believe it was like ABH, they released like a little 9-pan palette that had cherries all over it. I just really like cherries, like the aesthetic of cherries. I love those hair clips. I really want those hair clips. Like, if I was to buy anything from ColourPop, I would make sure to get those. Hopefully they sell those separately. But the cherry illustration and the icon, I feel like it looks a little bit more like an apple and not a cherry, at least to me. Just something about like it being that blown up and the way that the stem is, it doesn't really scream cherry to me. Anyways, this is super cute. I like the little cherries all over. I like the little stars. It's super cutesy. It's very typical of ColourPop. And I'm gonna put this under patterns everywhere. So let's talk about the very last one. And this is a new indie brand to me, and this is Cash Beauty, and I believe this was a collaboration, and it's the Color Trip collection, and there's some brushes, there's eyeshadow. Yes, there's an eyeshadow palette, there's some lashes, a sponge, and I love the inside of this palette. It looks really, really cool, and then split pans at the bottom. I believe they're water activated, which is like a little iffy in like a cardboard packaging. However, I really actually like this like aesthetic on the outside of the packaging of the palette, as well as the type, the Color Trip. I think it's kind of cool. It's a little different. I think it makes totally sense for such a colorful palette. So I really like it, and was very tempted to buy it. However, I don't need any more colorful palettes, or definitely not anything with like split pan water activated liners in the bottom. So I would want to put it buying because of the packaging, but I'm not actually going to be buying. So is that cheating? So after a little bit of consideration, I'm actually going to put this under all the gradients, because there's lots of gradients happening in the like kind of really trippy melty thing on the bottom of the palette with the type. And so unfortunately, no bingo this time around, but that's okay. Can't win them all. But you know, I was actually really worried after making the bingo card that I would really easily hit bingo, or that it would just be the same thing every time. So it's really interesting to see that it's not necessarily going to be the case. And so that's everything for today's New Makeup Nonsense Bingo, the design edition for the month of July. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much makeup content, lots of indie stuff up already on my channel. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.